And welcome back to the program. I am now joined by two of our Talk Business and Politics contributors, Sarah Huckabee Sanders and Dustin McDaniel. Welcome to both of y'all. You're with the Hillary Clinton campaign, you're on board. You're with the Donald Trump campaign, you're on board. Let's talk about the 2 weeks that these two candidates have had. Who wants to go first and tell me what was good and bad about Hillary Clinton's week? Dustin.
Well, I think Hillary's had a pretty good 3 weeks. I think that during the Republican convention and the opportunity for the GOP to put on its case, it was a rather limited case. I mean, you had the luminaries of the party sitting the convention out to a great extent. You had Donald Trump's family being his primary endorsers. And then you had his speech, which was not well received. Then Hillary's convention, I think I was there. I was on the front row. The only thing between the Arkansas section and the nominee were the steps to the podium. It was a great experience, and I have to say it was unbelievably sophisticated in how it was conducted from beginning to end. And then the follow-up has been that Donald Trump took the bait. In every circumstance, he took the bait, and it has been not good for him, and he can't let go of it. Like a fish with a hook in his mouth, he can't spit it out.
All right, we're going to talk about Donald Trump's week, but what was good and bad about Hillary Clinton's week from your perspective, Sarah?
Well, I never think Hillary Clinton has a good week. I think anytime she's talking, she's usually lying, and she did that again and again this week.
Specific point.
Well, I mean, she continues to spit out the lies about the FBI investigation. She can't seem to get on the same page and keeps saying that they said she didn't have any classified emails when there were hundreds of classified emails. The Iran deal, she can't seem to get on the same page with the administration on that front. So I think Hillary Clinton has her biggest issue has always been and will continue to be the trust factor, and she continues to get caught time and time again with that, and this week was no different.
Give you a chance for rebuttal there. Would not be fair if I didn't.
I just think those are falling flat. I mean, it's the same old arguments. They've been thrown out there over and over again. She's admitted she made a mistake. Tim Kaine said, you know, she made a mistake. I think that we've seen all of that over and over again. It's getting pretty old, and what we're seeing from the polling numbers around the country is the American people are tired of hearing those two attacks over and over again and would like to see that the man who's about to start getting national security briefings is at all equipped to be president, and they're not convinced of that.
I think the problem, in Dustin's argument, the problem with saying, oops, I made a mistake and there should be no consequences. When you make a mistake in national and you put national security at risk, you should suffer consequences. When my 4-year-old gets in trouble, they don't just get to say, oops, I'm sorry, and suffer no consequences. And Hillary Clinton should be no different than a 4-year-old, frankly. She shouldn't get a promotion after breaking the rules.
All right, we've flogged that argument a couple of times there. Let's move to Donald Trump's week. What was good and bad about Donald Trump's week? I'll let you go first.
I think one of the best things about Donald Trump's week was poll after poll showed several things. One, 70% of Americans still want significant change in leadership. And for all of the many arguments you can make against Donald Trump, the one thing you can't take away from him is he's the ultimate outsider that absolutely represents change. And Hillary Clinton, in contrast, is the ultimate insider for the corrupt Washington class. You put those two things with 70% of the electorate looking for change, I think that puts Donald Trump in the lead in November.
We are limited on time. What was good and bad about Donald Trump's week?
John Oliver said that the thing about Trump's philosophy on scandals is if you step on one nail, it hurts real bad, but if you step on 100 nails, your weight gets distributed evenly and you barely even feel it. You can't even describe how many scandals he had in 1 week to say which one was worst.
Wow. All right. All right. So what's going to, well, let me ask this one follow-up question here, Dustin. Do you think Hillary Clinton is too confident right now? There have been a lot of polls that have come out putting her with some big leads. Does she need to be cautious about that?
I think one thing that Sarah and I would both agree on is that the media is bad prone to hype things and knock things out of perspective. The media is overconfident right now, but I can assure you that Hillary Clinton, her team, Senator Kaine, and the Democratic structure across the country, we recognize that this is going to be a race until the very last vote is counted.
I'll ask if your candidate's overconfident too.
I don't think so. I mean, I think just like Dustin said, there's not an ability to be overconfident in this process because you have such a change in dynamic every single day. You're facing new challenge. I think this is going to be an extremely close race and come right down to the wire.
All right, we got to take a commercial break. We're going to come back with another segment with you guys. We're going to play grab bag headlines. You're going to love it. It's going to be fun. Sarah Huckabee Sanders and Dustin McDaniel are my guests. We're back right after this. All right, we are talking politics with Sarah Huckabee Sanders and Dustin McDaniel, two Talk Business and Politics contributors. I told y'all, I haven't let y'all see any of this. I want everybody out there to know this is totally going to be off the cuff for them. I've pulled two headlines from some national political organizations, and I'm going to let ladies first. I'm going to let Sarah pick one of these two. I'm going to turn it over, read you what the headline is, and then we're going to discuss it. So which one do you want, Sarah?
So if I pick first, that means Dustin answers first, right?
That'll be fine.
All right.
All right.
It's implied consent, just playing with the paperwork that we're going to do this.
From Politico. Clinton's third-party headache. Polls show younger voters are taking a long look at the Libertarian and Green Party nominees. This could be a big problem for Hillary Clinton. Are the third-party candidates a problem for Hillary Clinton?
No, I don't think that this election is going to be decided based on the two candidates running for President of the United States from the major parties. It's not going to be won or lost. It's not going to be stolen by or dramatically impacted by either of the third-party candidates.
What do you think?
I actually agree with Dustin on this one. I think when it comes down to it, all of America is going to be voting between Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton, and I don't think the third-party candidates are going to play a big role.
You don't think a third-party candidate could steal enough votes from one candidate that it could change the electoral outcome of a particular state that might be close?
Ralph Nader was the kind of the biggest, as was Ross Perot. I think that Sarah's candidate, Mr. Trump, needs to be the most concerned about the none of the above candidate. I think that a lot of Republican voters and moderate voters, white, male, college-educated voters, are simply not going to vote. They may not get to where they vote for Hillary, but they're not going to vote for Donald Trump, and that's going to make a difference.
All right, you get to come back before we turn the next one over.
I actually think that Dustin's candidate, Hillary, has the same problem. I think that there are a lot of people that just don't like Hillary Clinton. They don't trust her, they don't like her, and I think she's got a hard time making that sell and solidifying. A lot of the Bernie Sanders supporters that feel kind of like they were cheated through this process are not ready to get behind Hillary Clinton, and so I think she's got to convince Democrats as well.
All right, our next headline. This one.
I picked that
you
one.
You picked this one right
I picked
here?
that one.
The electoral map expands for Clinton, shrinks for Trump. This is from thehill.com. There have been a lot of state polls that have come out that show Hillary Clinton making actually in the lead in Georgia, 1 point in Utah. This is Republican territory. In Arizona, Sarah, has the electoral map changed in Hillary Clinton's favor at this point in the campaign?
Well, I think the polls right now are so fluid. We've just come off the conventions. Donald Trump got a huge bump after his convention. We're in the week after Hillary Clinton getting a big bump after her convention. I think as we move away from those things, you're going to see the electoral map change again. And I actually think Donald Trump's got a lot of states like Pennsylvania and parts of the Rust Belt that will be in play for him that haven't traditionally been in play for Republicans. So I think it's going to change again, and I think that'll probably happen pretty quickly.
Electoral map?
I mean, it's weighted to begin with for Secretary Clinton. I mean, just the base level of sort of safe states on the Electoral College weighted for her. Yes, he had a bump. She had a bigger bump. This week, I think, will increase her bump. And then you're going to see folks sort of drift into the Olympics, into Labor Day. When it settles, that Rust Belt is going to not look good for Donald Trump across New Hampshire, Ohio, Pennsylvania, and even today in Wisconsin, which is leaning Hillary in about 4 polls. All of the leadership in rebuking Mr. Trump said they're not coming to his rally tonight in Wisconsin. And the Republican Speaker of the House said, "I got a thing." That was his reason why he wasn't going to show up and appear with it.
So what's going to start to change that momentum? As you indicated, the Olympics are going to take everybody's mind off of politics for probably about 2 weeks, at least to some degree. It's not going to be as red hot as it has been. But just with the messaging that we've seen, what's going to change the dynamic in this race beyond the trajectory that we're on?
Well, I think we're going to see a shift back to a head-on-head contrast between Donald Trump, Hillary Clinton. We've already seen Trump moving that direction over the last couple of days.
Have we not had that this week after the conventions have ended?
Not necessarily, because we've kind of been chasing down rabbit holes and different things like that. But I think as we move away from that, and Donald Trump has done that over the last couple of days, he'll continue to do that moving towards November. The two biggest things that people are voting on are the economy and national security. Poll after poll shows that across the board, people trust Donald Trump more on the economy and national security than they do Hillary Clinton. As you get closer to November, I think that's another thing that pushes him over the edge.
Final word to you. Closing argument.
Not sure what polls that Sarah's looking at, but the majority of polling out there simply don't support that premise. Not sure what this we business is. Donald Trump's been the one that's been running down rabbit holes all week. Senator Kaine and Secretary Clinton have been talking about how this country really is stronger when we're united together, and we do believe in a stronger economic future for our kids and not being divided. I think that we're starting to get our grooves out of these two campaigns, and I think realistically we know what we're going to be able to expect for the next 98 days.
All right. Do we want to put we have about 30 seconds left. Do we want to put a bet on anything? Because your candidate's Hillary Clinton and your candidate's Donald Trump. What's the winner going to do for the other one? Or what's the loser going to do for the winner?
I'll take Dustin
What
to
does
dinner.
the loser do for
I'll
the...
let Dustin take me to dinner after he loses in November. How about that?
Is that a deal?
And I'll even let him pick the place.
I'm willing to bet on who's going to be the next governor of Florida, because I hear your dad and Sam Houston could be the only two dual state governors. But I think that we're going to see a bunch of very happy, very happy Arkansas Democrats going to D.C. in January.
They could use some happiness after the last cycle or
Oh yeah,
two,
we
so
could use
it'd be
some.
good.
We could
All
use
right.
some happiness.
I got to wrap it up there. Sarah Huckabee Sanders, Dustin McDaniel, thank y'all both for being here. That's all for this week's edition of Talk Business and Politics. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Roby Brock. We'll see you next time.